Billy, you're my idol.
I'm trying to keep up with my dad's brother, Uncle Charlie. He lived to 102, and he never lost his sense of humor. And when we celebrated his 100th birthday, he lived in Colorado in a little town called Palmer Lake, just above Colorado Springs. And he was there for 75 years at that house.
Wow.
Up there. But they had the Charlie Orr Day, they call it. And this gal from the...
We have the Billy Orr Day here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we do. We like our Billy Orr. The hell with Charlie. We'll take Billy any day.
No, I got to finish telling the story because it's great. Like I say, he never lost his sense of humor.
Thank you. Thank you.
And like I say, they had a 100th birthday, Charlie Orr Day, and this gal from Colorado Springs, Gazette, came up to write a little article about it. And first thing she said to me, she said, well, Charlie, what do you contribute your longevity to? And she was kind of a little heavy-set gal. And Charlie looked at her and said, well, Fatty, I just kept breathing.
So, Billy, tell us about Pearl Harbor. Tell us about your career.
It sounds like it.
It all started, well, I graduated from high school in 1940, and I started to go to Pasadena Junior College. And I was in my first month, and my dad, who either called me Billy or Kid. He says, Kid, if you don't want to be living in a piss helmet, you better get yourself in the service you want to get into. We're going to go to war. And I said, you're sure? He said, yeah. So March, I got on the red car, went to 6th and Main in downtown L.A.
Yeah.
And signed up for the Navy. And 6 weeks later, I'd gone through basic, and they assigned me the USS Chester. And USS Chester broke harbor and headed for Pearl Harbor, because it was assigned to Pearl. And about August, nav letter came out and says, we want special patrol. So any ship that was in there had to furnish a boat crew to cruise the harbor at night and challenge anything that came in or out. And so I was in what they call the A Division. And I was a motorman. I ran the launch. And it was a 4-man crew with one officer, because in the Navy, in those days, if you weren't an officer, you couldn't carry a sidearm. So he had to be on board to carry the sidearm. And from, let's say about August, I was assigned to the duty, and 2 days later, Chester left, but they left the boat crew there. So we were assigned to, from sunset to sunrise, we patrolled it. And any sampan or anything that came in, we would board it, challenge it. And if it had any kind of radio equipment or anything like that, we confiscated it. Because what they were doing, they were reporting back to Japan, and we knew it. And they were all telling us, the Japs are going to hit us. And the only thing we could figure out, of course, I was only 17 years old, so I didn't think about any of that crap. I was just a kid.
Yes.
And anyway, they we found out that Roosevelt wanted it to happen. It was the easiest way to, he figured 3,000 or 4,000 lives was very cheap to get out of the depression we'd been in for all those years. And he knew damn good and well, go to war, we'd be out of the depression. So they let it happen. And they even reported when they were coming in, it was supposed to be a flotilla of our own planes that were supposed to be coming in. And it was
B-17s.
Yeah, it was all bullshit.
Yeah.
And of course they did it on Sunday because everybody that had a wife or family or anything were on the beach. They weren't back on board, and it was a Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. So they just, luckily I was on the beach. It's called the Gold Docks, and that's where we were operating out of. And there was a small little hospital, actually was a first aid station, what have you. And I don't know why they assigned us there, but all the boat crews that were doing the duty there was 3 boat crews that were stuck. Their ships most of the ships took out. except those that were in dry dock, and that's how we got hit bad. The dry dock, we hit it right over the dock. They came in and blew the shit out of the place, and they put us in the launches to get out there and patrol the harbor. And we picked up guys that jumped off the. This reminds me of this story where the guy who was down here, he was on the old Oklahoma. He survived the Oklahoma, and he was really an asshole. He's probably dead now, but I told him one time, I probably saved your ass. I'm sorry I did it.
But Billy, tell them when you knew they were going to attack. How soon?
Oh, we knew it in August. It was a fair game, and of course, one of the diplomats or what it was from Japan, he was in Washington. They were talking all kinds of treaties and all this, and we knew it was bull crap, because it was determined, it was destined to us to go to war. And thank God we did. We saved, basically, we saved Europe. We did. So anyway, we had to patrol and pick up. A lot of guys jumped overboard and stuff like that. Some of it was pretty miserable, because the whole harbor was afire from the damn fuel and everything.
In the water.
In the water, and we pulled up. You don't think about it at the time, it just happens, but I remember pulling this one kid out by the arm, and I'm just pulling his flesh right off his arm. And then we hauled him over there. I never went back to see if he survived, but I doubt if he did. We'd take about 5 or 6 of them. We had our launch was a small launch. They had 40-man launches that were picking up quite a few guys. There's a picture in one of Life magazine showing and you can see where these launches were cruising around the harbor.
Right.
I've got that thing. Maybe I should have brought it up. But anyway, that's the way it was. The ship came back in. We got on board, and the first flotilla it was the Chester, the Salt Lake, and the Northampton, and 2 or 3 cans, and they sent us in February.
They don't know what a can is.
Destroyer. Okay. 10 cans we call them. But anyway, they sent us to New Caledonia and the Marshall Islands out there to make our first offensive, and that was February. Well, we got out there and got in the middle of it, and one of the dive bombers hit us right on the well deck. That was our first experience. We lost 18 guys. Blew a hole right in the middle of it. Didn't hurt the hull or anything. But then the next one was the Battle of Coral Sea, and we changed places with the Washington, because we'd be getting this alert, the submarine. That's what got me an idea. Well, I spent my whole entire career on the Chester, about 37 feet below decks. I was in the engineering room, fire rooms, evaporating units, stuff like that. Never saw topside, except when we would go to battle. And then we were what they call the gang down below, the black gang as they call it, sent us up, and we were hot shellmen. And we'd catch the shell after the asbestos gloves and what have you. Anyway, that was our job. That's the only job we got topside. They were shooting right at us. But anyway, we went Battle of Coral Sea. We got hit with torpedo there, and of course, the whole flotilla took off and left us dead in the water. We were dead in the water. Why that submarine didn't turn around and hit us again, I have no idea. But they must have just hightailed it out there. They did that a lot of times in instances where I was involved. They didn't follow through. If they'd have followed through with troops, they'd have had a white. There's no doubt about it. We wouldn't have been able to
withstand it a bit.
The only time we saw a gun is when they actually started shooting at us. And of course, we did. In training, we were handed a 30-06 and told us how to use it and stuff like that. But the Navy, most of them, like I say, the officers, weren't allowed to carry a sidearm. So being equipped, and the damn magazines were all locked up, padlocked. And the OD was on the beach with his wife or something like that, had the keys. How the hell are they going to get the ammunition? It was just... But totally, like I say, if they would have just brought some troops, But what they did, they sent the planes out and turned around and headed back from Japan.
Yeah, they didn't come
Because the
back.
guys never came back.
They never invaded.
Never came back for a second wave.
Yeah,
Yamamoto was scared to death.
yeah.
He poked the bear. Well, he
He
did poke the bear.
He
Right.
did not want to do that at that.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
not.
He said, "You're going to wake a sleeping giant."
Yeah, right.
And he did. And he met Billy. And he ran like hell when he saw Billy.
Yeah.
Good job.
No, I was the one that was running like that.
I think you chased him out of there, Billy. You chased him
With
out
my
of there.
30 on, oh yeah, we were running around that 30 on 60, shooting that
Play the same.
and we were sure we had it.
He did. 30 on 6, good round.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good round. I wouldn't want to get hit by 30 on 6.
So anyway, how did it turn out?
How'd you get on this?
Battle of Court. Well, okay, that's a simple story. One of my buddies is on board. His name is Brusso, and he was a yeoman, and he got all these nav letters coming in, whatever. And we were sitting around bullshitting one time, and he said, "Hey, you know," he said, "I got a Bureau nav letter because you had to volunteer for subservice.
Oh, yeah.
They wouldn't put you in; they volunteer." Anyway, he said, "Hey, I got a Bureau nav letter. If you want to get back to the States, we can sign up for submarine service, and they'll have to send us to sub school, which is New London, Connecticut."
Yeah.
And I said, "Put us in."
A little did you know, right?
Yeah. Anyway, the letter came back, and chief engineer, well, hell, he didn't want to get rid of us, because there were 5 of us that put in for it.
Mhm.
And he disapproved it. And I says to Rudy, "What are we going to do?" I said, "I know the skipper won't sign our release if the chief engineer won't sign it." And Rudy said, "Don't worry about it. It's a good old nav letter. It's got to go with disapprovals. It'll go back with Washington." Well, 2 weeks later, we got our notice.
Yeah. Now, how did you fly from Hawaii, or were you in Hawaii when you flew back?
Oh yeah,
then?
well no, we we brought a bunch of guys back from the Battle of Coral Sea
Coral Sea, yeah.
because we lost the Lex.
Right.
We had to sink in because it was given our positions away and what have you. So the Chester brought 425 of those guys in and brought them to San Diego for a weekend, and that's when our orders came in.
Oh, my God.
So we were right there, and they gave us 7 days. My old man gave me a 36 Ford to drive back there, and the wife and I took off and drove across. And the thing that was neat about that, of course, you had to wear a uniform all the time. There wasn't anything in the center. We could, they gave you C-stamps for buying gas,
Right.
tires, and stuff
They
like
paid
that.
for it, didn't
No, they wouldn't let us. That's
Amazing.
the way they were.
So now, what was your first submarine that you were on?
It was on that too. It's a 444, 444.
444?
Yeah, it's gone now. Where's most of them? Oh,
Yeah.
Those old S-boats.
Oh, it was an S-boat?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no S-boat.
Yeah, they don't go very fast either.
No, oh no. They don't, actually, they can't go too deep. You
No,
know.
they're not. As a matter of fact,
Well, hey,
the rate I'm making.
the loss in submarine service was humongous.
Oh, I know.
Humongous.
They took the Macon, when we attacked Macon Island,
Yeah,
there were 2 S-boats that took the raiders,
Yeah.
the U.S. Marine raiders across.
yeah.
And I looked at that and I said, why would you they're Marines, you're going to put them in the stupidest ship in the
Yeah,
world
right.
to go across.
Absolutely.
Stupid. Put them on an
Oh, well,
S-boat.
I'll tell you a story, Marine. One of my best buddies that I grew up with. One of was 3 years old, moved next door and what have you. His name was Dick Eubanks. And he waited until he was getting drafted. And I says, "Come on and get in the Navy. At least, nothing else, your bed goes with you."
Right, 3 squares and a
Yeah.
one bed.
No, I want to go in the Marines. I want to be macho and go in the Marines. I said, "You're stupid." And he and Kenny, another one of my buddies, both of them signed up at the same time. And Kenny got it on Saipan,
Right.
but Dick made it on Tarawa. He was at the
Tarawa,
second wave. He was a machine gunner. And it was a 3-man they have. One of them carries the extra ammo,
Right.
and one carries the gun, and the other carries the tripod.
Tripod, right.
Yeah. Well, they're coming in, and they're in a LCI landing craft. And he's leaning back, and he and a sergeant together. 37 millimeter came through and took his sergeant's head off. And that's the last thing he remembers for 3 days.
Right.
And he got a medal for killing over 400 Japs. He wound up in a foxhole. When he came to, with his 45 in his hand, and it was empty. But then he said he just went up the beach and went crazy.
Well, for those, I actually did a documentary on Tarawa.
You did?
Yeah, I've got it. We can watch it maybe later. But the Japanese had 5,000 Royal Marines there on an island that's less than a mile long, 700 yards wide. There's 5,000 of them, and you know how many Marines we landed with? 15,000 Marines on there. And it was 83 hours of the most god-awful fight they had ever seen.
Hey, and we bombarded that thing with our 8-inchers.
Yep. For 3 days.
Yeah.
You bombed them, gunned them, everything. No, nothing. They told the Marines, you're going to be back by lunch chow.
Yeah.
Nothing could survive that.
Yeah,
Turns out everything survived. The cupola bunkers, which were made out of palm tree logs, right?
Yeah.
These rounds bounced off. They bounced off and then landed in the bay.
Yeah.
They literally didn't do any damage at all. And then they had fish traps, barbed wire in around. I interviewed the first Marine that landed there.
You're kidding?
No, in an Amtrak. And I've got that. But I interviewed him personally and did a whole thing there. But yeah, so Tara was.
Oh yeah, it was
a mess.
It was an absolute mess. And Dick remembers saying, "Goddamn Orr sitting on their fantail,
having a beer and watching it all die."
Yeah, right. Well, it wasn't that way though. The Lightnings, they all had booze.
Yes. That's why you always visited them.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why you always went over to visit them.
Yeah.
So you were in an S boat. Did you ever get to the new long distance J boats? I think they were called. No.
No, they wanted me. I didn't want what they called a kids cruise. But I was 17. It was only 4 years, and of course we were still in war. We were in war for a little over 6 years, and so I had to re-up. And then when the war was over, they wanted to. By that time I made chief petty officer. And I was on the boat, and they wanted me to stay. And, I got to thinking about it. I got a wife and 2 kids, and, it's regimented. Your life's not your own in the service. I don't care what branch of the service it is. You're taking orders from somebody all the time.
Yeah.
So, and they offered me a big $250.
That's a big bonus, though. In those days. Big signing bonus.
And I said, no, I'm not going to do it.
They offered me $15,000 to re-up. Different time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I know. Well, when I was working at Albuquerque, the base there, a couple of Marines that were there retired after 30 years, could get a $20,000 bonus.
So after that, you went to engineering school, right? You became an
came back
engineer.
to school. Yeah, went back and became a
Aerospace, right?
yeah. Now I are one.
I are one too.
Yeah.
We're the only 2 engineers here. And neither one of us can spell shit. SHT.
So anyway, I went back to school and went to work with Douglas, and I had more serious experiences in that era as far as longevity, explosions. Oh yeah.
That's
Well,
why
we
you
were the
worked
early
on
stage
the.
of a Thor program.
Oh, that was the nuclear. That was
Well,
a nuclear
no, eventually-
cruise missile or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Thor program. We were putting them in over in England and Italy. That was our first line of defense for intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Right.
Yeah. So, but we did a lot of early study, which the Germans did too.
Yeah.
They blew the hell out of themselves at a pleasure, and we were in the same basic condition, and we kept blowing things up.
You also then worked on designing the ejection seats there at the unit, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, it was with Boeing then.
Right.
We got
So we worked for the same company. I worked for Douglas, McDonnell Douglas, Boeing, General.
Well, yeah, we started Douglas and then McDonnell Douglas and then came Boeing. And when I get my retirement, don't you get your retirement check out of Boeing?
Not yet, but I'm working on it.
Oh, you're.
I got something in the mail the other day.
Oh, you did?
But yeah, so yeah.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Billy before he gets drunk tonight?
I have a question.
Oh,
Yes.
that's how it-
So how did you get from the beach to the boat when all of that chaos
Well,
is happening?
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor.
How do they do what now?
How'd you get from the beach to the boat when all that chaos was happening?
Well, we were assigned, and they were assigned us. Our duties were to go out and bring everybody who was in the V and bring it back to sick bay. And we were there for, I don't know, 2 days. It was 3 days before I got back because my cruiser didn't come back in until the second day afterwards. They actually were chasing a couple of the aircraft carriers. They claimed that's what they did, but we ran out of fuel, so we had to come back in and get fueled up. And that's when I picked the ship back up.
All right.
So yeah, that's where we did it. And then we took off, like I say, and we loaded up. Oh, and we did a lot of stuff, you know. The Chester was one of the great white fleet of Roosevelt, you know. And they cruised all over.
What class was the Chester?
It was a heavy cruiser,
Oh, wow.
8-inch. And, well, it was the class of the Chester, the Salt Lake, the Northampton, and one other. There's 4 in the class, I can't remember. But the Chester was the only one that survived. The other 3 got sank.
Now, you're originally from where?
Where am I reading? Monrovia, California.
All right.
No, I was born in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
But,
But originally he was from his mother.
yeah, from my mother.
Yeah.
Good idea.
I was number 3.
So how long were you on the S boat?
About 3 years.
3 years.
You never got hit.
Oh, we got depth charged 2 or 3 times.
What was your job on the stuff?
The job on the summer on the evaporator, making fresh water. But you're assigned, you have to do everything.
Right, you got to be multiple trained.
And you're actually doing the duty on the mountains, dirt planes,
Right.
what have you. You got to always look forward to getting rid of your torpedoes because you're sleeping on them.
Right.
And then you get more bedroom once you shoot them.
You got to sleeping
Did
on
you
your
sink?
freaking
Did you sink many
Well,
times?
we had 39 men and officers on the
Right.
Yeah.
Did you ever sink? How many did you sink?
Oh, the tonnage?
Yeah.
Probably we got about 5. And actually, we were so close. We were up around a premature, you know, that's Russian.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Premature. And we were getting all our weather forecasters.
Shit. Survivability in that water is less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Or 5 minutes, something like that. You're going to freeze to death.
Yeah. And we could actually, when we come up sometimes, and we were picking them out with our sonar or what have you, you could actually hear the chaps talking on it. Yeah.
Wow.
And if we were so goddamn close, we'd have to go back off to put a depth or a torpedo head.
Huh. So, yeah, your ideal shots in those days are about 1,500 yards,
Yeah.
right? That was your ideal shot.
Yeah. And the best is about 37 or 40 feet below the surface.
Right. No.
You start out.
What's the deepest you could go?
We were supposed to be able to go to 600 feet.
What could you before the
About 350.
rivets started blowing out?
We actually went to 400 one time, and it really was a couple of compartments. It was scary.
No, I can believe. I can't imagine being in a tin can like that under
Yeah.
the water.
Well, no, that's the thing. When you're going through basic,
Yeah.
it's just like talking about this asshole blowing all these living kids away up there.
Right.
Yeah.
They actually went and interviewed him, and what? One guy goes in and talks to him, turns him loose, he's okay. When you go through basic, you got to go through 3.
Well,
Psychiatrists. 3 different people interviewed him from a claustrophobic effect, and whether you go nuts down below, you know. Because apparently some people are they go crazy.
Well, you
They're
know,
climbing walls.
the goddamn SEALs, to deploy them in World War II, they would climb in the torpedo container
Yeah.
and close it up and
Yeah.
flood it and then open the outer door and out
Yeah.
you go. I can't imagine being in a freaking thing that's about this big.
I know.
You know, at dark.
Yeah. Well,
What happens if your gear doesn't work?
The escape hatch on its
Right.
You know, you go in there and what you do, you lock it up, then you flood it and
Yeah.
pressurize it.
Yeah.
You're in something that's no bigger than about 5 foot in diameter and just about 6 foot tall. And you do that when you're going through basic.
Basic, right.
And then they turn you loose and you
You go up, what, 40 feet or something?
Yeah, well, you go every 10 feet. You stop and
Yeah.
breathe because the Munson lung is the only thing you had.
Right.
And a lot of guys did do 400 feet and survive. Some of them claims they even popped to the top and never went through, and they just opened the thing up and away they went.
Yeah. Go.
And they survived it.
Yeah.
Wound up with the pins, I guess, and good about it.
Embolized.
But I can see.
October 25th, 1944. In the Formosa Strait, dozens of Americans fight to survive a sunken submarine. USS Tang stern sits on the bottom. The only escape hatch is at the bow of the submarine.
The bow, which is still filled with air, is actually jutting out the waves, sort of like a knife blade, if you will, coming up.
But with Japanese escorts on the hunt, the exposed section makes them vulnerable. The men choose to sink their damaged submarine to conceal it, while they prepare to escape.
They decide to level the boat, to release all the air from the forward ballast tanks, and to let the bow of the Tang come down and rest on the bottom. They release the air, and the Tang dives for a final time.
An hour after Tang sinks, the last of its crew reaches the bow.
And then they get to the forward torpedo room. Several dozen men. They ultimately all crowd inside and they seal that door. And inside that forward torpedo room is the escape chamber.
The entire submarine lies 180 feet below the surface. As Tang's crew prepares to brave the ocean, another attack stops them short.
As these men are there, crowded inside the forward compartment, terrified about how they're going to make it 180 feet up to the surface, the Japanese are coming over and they're dropping depth charges. So here they are stuck on the bottom, and their boat's still being rattled. The conditions at this point in the forward torpedo room of the Tang are awful. The battery compartments are on fire. It's hazy at this point. The air pressure is rising and the heat and humidity are rising. All of these things combine to sap the energy from these men who are facing this life or death struggle as to how to get off of this sunken boat.
13 men muster the strength to attempt an escape.
It's a really daunting task because at 180 feet, it's the equivalent of an 18-story building.
At 8 a.m., Tang's escape hatch closes for the last time.
When they first step out, it's very dark. You can't see anything. And the farther they go up toward the surface, the water around them begins to lighten.
Only 5 of the 13 men survive the ascent.
Even those who escape and make it all the way to the surface aren't necessarily guaranteed to survive. In fact, for some of those men, they watch others come up who are vomiting, who blood is coming out of their noses, who are so exhausted and so sick at this point that they ultimately drown just a few feet away from their friends, their bodies carried out by the tide.
That's what I'm saying. Why didn't 2 or 3 guys interview this guy? In every one of the cases, these guys going around shooting things up, you get to the background of it, you find out they knew what was going on, and yet they didn't restrain this person.
Can you imagine them interviewing me?
Yeah.
Bison.
Yeah, no kidding. That interview's a 10-second one.
Yeah.
And put your hands behind your back.
Yeah. Right.
That was the first 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, I think it all goes with liberal society. They're going to err on the nice guy.
Yeah.
Screw the nice guys. What you said, like, but Billy, one thing you said, it just blew me away.
What's that?
All these years, I was always told that December 7th was a surprise. No one saw it coming. And you said that you knew, somebody knew back in August.
Sure.
I never knew that.
I didn't know that either.
I talked to a guy that was on a sub that was shadowing those carriers.
Yeah.
They knew exactly where they
Yeah.
were,
Really?
and when they were going to launch. And it's a big conspiracy thing, but I knew a communications officer on that sub, and he told me, yeah, they knew exactly where they were
No.
because they were following it.
Yeah.
Roosevelt needed
The reason.
That's
Yeah,
like what
he
Bruce
did.
said, yeah.
To get out, he needed
Oh,
that
no,
war to
he
get
did.
out of that
Because of the
depression.
depression.
we were
And
in.
if you've ever seen Tora, they had
Oh,
the
yeah.
ambassador to the United States, and Roosevelt purposely kept him outside because he wanted to tell him there was a declaration of war,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't let him in, so it was an attack,
Yeah.
not a legal declaration.
Yeah.
Kept him out.
There you go. Huh?
Well, that's twice I was surprised today. Number one was this, and number two, that they cheated in the votes in Florida. I never knew that happened.
Oh, well, you heard about the 3 lies, right? The big famous lies. Come on now. I'm here from the government. I'm here to help.
Yeah,
I'll
right.
let you know what the last one.
Well, there's a fourth now. I heard that this week.
Was that right?
After I'm elected.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
That's another lie.
Yeah, right.
Another lie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, Billy. Well, thank you so
Billy,
much.
that was awesome,
I'm
Billy.
glad
Thank
I could
you.
come down.
Yeah.
See you guys again.
Thank you, Billy. Thank you. That was very, very good.
No, I don't. I've already had my lunch.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a different kind of thing with this, you know, people are like, because of all the clouds. You know, I can't.
Santa, do you have any flour?
Yes, I do. It's in the freezer.
This thing is another thing that's amazing. You were big on technology.
we need a table.
It's just crazy.
All
All right. Thank you, Billy.
Yeah.
Well, you have a good day.